2020 has been a rough year for everyone, and you deserve a vacation. Unfortunately, not everyone can afford the $60 ticket to start your own island with colorful animal-human hybrids, so we here at Gale Vacation Enterprises would like to present to you the Pinewood Island package. Put together by the fine folks at Jamie Scribble's Games, this $10 vacation package comes with a large mansion home, beautiful views, shark-infested waters, and cookies. You'll set off for a month of rest and relaxation while participating in lectures for college credit. In your free time, you can gather by the fire to sing songs, chug a couple of beers with new friends, investigate the brutal murder of your professor, or maybe even fall in love. So come by today to Pinewood Island. We'll be waiting for you. My thirst for a good love story doesn't stop just because it's the season of scares. All that changes now as my Otome games have a slice of horrific murder in them. And with a warning screen like this, something scary is bound to happen. I can actually be a lot of people, but for my first run I decided to be Mara, a biology major ready to spend 4 weeks on an island without internet or cell signal because it'll be a great way to make friends. Also because it's double science credits for college, but mostly the friendship thing. So the first thing I do is get on a ship and sail to Pinewood Island, where I meet my first fated encounter, Ray. He's been in my past classes, and he seems nice enough. Nothing particularly noteworthy other than his half-dead stare. We are fortunately interrupted by Mary, who really isn't that important. After Mary, I meet our supervisor for the trip, Professor Kent, and his TA, Susan. Both seem much more interested in the fun part of the trip rather than the learning part, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. We all start heading towards the mansion that we're gonna stay in when I meet Carl. Short and simple, he's got long hair, so that's who I'm banging on this island. But then he's followed by Matt, who promptly tries to dash my hopes and dreams by letting me know that Carl is a serial flirter and womanizer. Well, joke's on you, Matt. This is a video game, so I can make poor dating decisions as much as I like. Also, Matt's a romantic option too, but long hair trumps green hair. Sorry, buddy. The last 2 students on this trip are Joey and Jesse. They don't talk long. In fact, they feel kinda disposable. Just a gut feeling. With everyone acquainted, it's time for the ground rules. There is a single landline connecting everyone to the outside world, no swimming in the surrounding waters, no feeding Professor Kent after midnight, and everybody cooks and cleans after themselves. Totally normal rules for any outdoor excursion. And our supervisor is already day drinking. See, totally normal. I settle into the room where I'll be sleeping for the next 4 weeks when a commotion starts outside my door. Not to worry though, I know the first rule for getting along with strangers for extended periods of time. Don't involve yourself in their business. So I just head to bed. The next day I get up early to find everyone else already downstairs. Everyone is ready for the scheduled hike, but it seems the professor drank just a tad too much last night and isn't available to lead. Susan offers to take whoever's interested on the hike in his stead, and seeing nothing better to do, I agree. The hike is pretty lovely, and eventually we take a break to explore a bit. I decide to go to the nearby rose garden, where I, of course, find the romanticist himself, Carl. We trade some banter back and forth, and ultimately have a nice time. When we get back, Professor Kent is finally up, and recommends a beach party as a way to get closer as a group. Everyone has a great time together, playing cards and drinking beer, but I'm a bit of a lightweight. And a responsible one. I start to chug some water and make my way back inside, ready to turn in for the night. I find Professor Kent already inside, and as I try to go up the stairs, he gets closer. And closer. And way too freaking close. Suddenly he has me pinned, and I do the only logical thing I can. I slap him. Susan walks in and sees the altercation, and I use that time to run up to my room. I try to compose myself before falling into a fitful sleep. which of course means a scream wakes me up the next morning. Everyone rushes out of their rooms as Susan weeps, covered in blood. The professor is dead. The cause? Matter. And someone here is the... It's not you. Killer! Also, the one landline is broken, so we're stuck with them and a dead body for 4 weeks. 2 parties form to search for other means of communication or escape, but find nothing. The best we can do is bury the body in a clearly marked grave and try to get by for the 4 weeks we're here. We all take some time to process our feelings, some better than others. Strangely, no one really tries to find the murderer. Everyone just kind of sits around depressed all day. An attempt at continuing lab is made, but after just a few minutes, it's clear no one is in the mood to learn. A brief conversation about candy makes the tension a little lighter, but we quickly return to our somber moods. Carl and I go on a sorted date and build sandcastles. That was fun. I guess you do what you have to when literally anyone trapped with you could be a cold-blooded murderer. Which brings us to the next morning, where Mary has had enough of all this waiting and is desperate to reach the mainland. Susan just happens to remember the inflatable raft in the shed, thanks Susan, and Mary decides she's rowing herself to shore. Of course, everyone takes turns telling her not to, but she's determined, and with determination she'll power through, and now she's being eaten by sharks. So many sharks. So that's why we weren't supposed to get in the water. The guys are able to get part of her back for a burial. 2 down, only 6 to go. The recent death of Mary causes heightened emotions all around, so it's no surprise when the next day starts with an argument between Joey and Jesse. I try to talk to Jesse, but it doesn't seem like he really wants to hear anything right now, so I leave him be. I instead go on a hike with Susan, Carl, and Ray. We go to the rose garden and talk about flowers, or Susan and Carl talk about flowers and Ray and I just listen, but at least they're a little happy while they talk. When we return home, Carl visits my room and tries to kiss me. I listen to my heart, and my heart tells me no frickin' way we've known each other for like 5 days and he could possibly have murdered someone. That doesn't stop us from having sex though. Another day passes and I spend some time baking cookies with Susan and Joey. Obviously cookies won't solve all of our problems, but it is nice to talk to Joey when he isn't being so standoffish. He seems like a decent kid who just got caught up in, oh no, he's burning alive. And now I'm burning alive. Huh. That sucks. So, before, Jesse had come up with this plan to start a large fire and hope that help comes to investigate the smoke. It was a half-decent plan, so everyone took turns watching and feeding the fire. But then a storm came in, and as everyone was circled around the fire trying to keep it alight, Jesse and Joey got into another fight. Joey falls in, I try to save him, and then we burn. Darn. I always get the death ending first. You'd think that'd teach me to save by now. So after recreating Mara and going through it all again, I end up at the fire and I just let Joey die. I tried to be a hero once, but clearly heroics aren't my strong suit. Romance in a time of crisis, however. Yeah, so sue me. I go on more dates with Carl instead of searching for clues or helping in any meaningful way. You know, priorities, man. We bury Joey's body next to Mary's. Jesse is... well, he's having a tough time, you know, with his crush being dead and also the fact he pushed another dude into a fire. Yeah, I leave him alone for a bit. Everyone but Jesse gathers on the beach to hang out and watch the fire, but ultimately it's pointless as the next day another storm comes in and puts the flames out for good. At this point, everyone is on edge and angry, ready to blow at any moment. I pest Jesse as I go down to the beach to pay my respects to the 2 dead students. The game hints that maybe they died because I was bad at the game. Thanks, game. Jesse dies next. The game makes me feel guilty about that one, too. The next morning, everyone is tense. Susan watches me as I eat breakfast, and I'm starting to feel unnerved. After breakfast, I leave and Susan follows. A confrontation breaks out where Susan accuses me of stabbing Professor Kent to death. Carl comes to my defense, but apparently spending every free minute together wasn't discreet enough, so everyone knows we're dating, and therefore Susan doesn't trust him either. Fortunately, the other boys are more level-headed, and I run to my room and hide for the rest of the night. Unfortunately, I forgot that these doors don't have locks. In the middle of the night, I wake up to see Susan digging through all of my stuff. Creepy Susan. Very sus. I cry to Carl the next morning about how creepy Susan was and agree to talk to her together. It takes a couple tries, but it seems like we're getting to her. The day when the boat comes to pick us up is almost here, so as long as we can calm her down, nothing bad should happen. Ray stops me to talk the next morning. He asks about my relationship with Carl, and I answer honestly. Then he starts getting angry. Really angry. And I'm alone. Susan walks in and I breathe a sigh of relief and bounce. On the final day, I pack my things with Carl when Susan enters the room. She breaks into tears and apologizes. We all make up because this trip has been anything but relaxing. And then we get on the boat and leave. An investigation takes place over the next few months. Everyone mourns the loss of the 4 dead, but justice never comes to them as no one was charged for Kent's murder. But in better news, I now get to come home to this every day, so I count this trip as a win. I live happily ever after. So turns out you can save Mary, Joey, and Jesse. Well, at least from dying. They all still suffer tremendously, even if they live. All I had to do was talk to them before their deaths in the right way, and then try to save them. Any attempts to save them without talking would instead end up in my death. Doesn't make much sense, but whatever. Cursed islands, am I right? You might also be curious about who did murder Kent. Well, it's Ray. And honestly, that's not even the surprising part. The surprising part is that Ray is just some homeless man you were nice to once, so he followed you on a trip to try to romance you. Yeah, you date Ray a bit and he'll admit he was never a student and he joins your classes so he can watch you. Ugh. If you end up in any of his routes, you mostly end up committing crimes or hiding from the law. If you want to leave him because he's a stalker murderer and that freaks you out, well, too bad! He will instead kidnap you and hold you in his basement forever while he plays guitar. So the real horror wasn't the sharks, nor was it death by fire, nor was it murder. The real horror was the random nice guy we met along the way. Hi there, it's the end of the video, my friend. Hit the bell if it was okay, I'm sure I'll make good content someday. I'll play some games or do some drawing, Pokemon and fights with darling, video essays and reviews. I couldn't do it without you, so thanks, like and subscribe.